Welcome. This is a very special private training with a guest that you're going to be delighted that you'll get to know, my strategic partner, Alexei Musienko. And we have such an important topic of building business through relationships. People first is the concept. And Alexei will tell us all about his methodology that he developed and that he is sharing here before he even announced it to the public. So it's a very special treat. Hi, Alexei. Let me introduce you. And thank you for taking the time to be here with us and sharing your expertise and wisdom.
It's always my pleasure and an honor to show for you and your amazing community of game changers, legacy builders, and people who are choosing to make a great impact in the world.
Yes, they are. They're amazing. They're really golden. It's the Gold Club, and they really are golden. So I love them all. Thank you for showing up for them. So let me introduce you. Alexei Musienko is the award-winning #1 best-selling author of Double Your Income for Your Time, thought leader, #1 strategic wealth creation expert, and is the mentor of mentors. He has started, scaled, and owns 5, 6, 7-figure companies, and he can help you do the same. He is the authority of turning relationships into cash. Alexei truly believes that you are just one relationship away from the life of your dreams or the impact that you would like to create in the world. His superpower is being able to connect to more people, stepping back and watching the magic happen. Welcome again, and I can't wait for us to dive in.
Thank you so much, Miss Martina. And first and foremost, I do want to mention that this special private training will really either A, enhance the video book creation process or turbocharge it as well. They actually work hand in hand. And once I've actually started sharing the concept of people first with you guys a little bit more, you'll understand how they fit perfectly together. Maybe even sometimes the strategy being first, and then the video book process allows you to almost supercharge the results of this concept and theory, but they work very well together. So I would highly recommend that you are able to go through both and understand them and deploy them in your business. And as we said before on our special private training, this is all about not getting good, but getting done.
I'm sorry, just for those that didn't get a chance to watch that training yet, can we really shortly cover what the video book is so they can understand the concept? And then I will provide the recording for them in the members area so they can watch the whole training step by step. And then all the pieces will start coming together, which is so exciting.
If you don't mind, I will make sure to highlight it as part of this training, but I will put it in the right place where it's strategically the time to actually implement it. When it comes to people first approach, I've been on this idea and concept about what if you can treat every individual as a human being first before you partner with them with your product or service? How do you create that know, like, and trust before you ask them even for a dollar? That whole concept is really grounded in the idea of what if every person that you meet from this point on becomes a strategic partner of yours? And more importantly, if that strategic partner becomes your partner not for just a moment, but for a lifetime. See, so often we do our marketing, we do our song and dance, and we get clients. But because we don't take the time to create that real relationship, we will lose them in a month, in 3 months, in 9 months. At least that's what the studies show to us. Because we don't take the time to really understand our potential strategic partner. And that's what I see with the whole concept and the idea is that what if you treated your individuals in your life, your business, and the impact that you're choosing to create in the world as a partner, not just a customer, where you choose to take responsibility for their impact and results that they're creating. And this is really what this concept is grounded on. Because just imagine if you would have kept every person that you've met as a partner, even for the last year, 5 years, what would that be worth to you? And we all know that some people will end up partnering with us because maybe it's time for them to move on, or maybe we're no longer the right fit. It's bound to happen. But this concept will allow you to really do everything on your behalf to make sure that individual stays in your life or business for a lifetime. And it really, first and foremost, starts with you. And the three very powerful questions that I always ask my strategic new partners before we move forward with anything else. Question number one: what is one thing that you are truly curious about and willing to invest your time, energy, and money, even if business wasn't on the line? What conversation do you want to be a part of for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 20 years? Let me give you an example. So for me, that conversation is relationship and connection. So I want you to think for yourself, what is that one conversation that you want to be a part of for a long time, that you're curious about, that you spend your free time researching? Once you're clear about that conversation, question number two comes into place. And question number two says this: now that you know your area of genius, or that one concept that you are loving and developing through your curiosity, what is the one thing that you can add to the conversation? Let me give you an example. For me, as I said, it's relationships and connections. What I'm adding to the conversation, how do you strategically create powerful, life-altering relationships? So I want you to take a moment to really think about, number one, what conversation do you want to be a part of? And what are you adding to that conversation? And last but not least, question number three. Once you have the first two handled, who can you bring into the conversation with you that you can ask those questions and get even greater impact? Let me give you an example. So for me, number one, relationships. Number two, strategic relationships. Question number three is, for example, some of the people on my Dream 100 list is Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Hal Elrod. The list goes on and on. These are the individuals that I identified as somebody that I would love to bring into the conversation and ask them, how do they approach creating powerful strategic relationships in their life? With that strategy, what I'm doing, number one, I'm getting new insights and golden information on my area of genius that I'm choosing to position myself around. And number two, in that same concept, I'm choosing to brand by association, because these amazing thought leaders have already invested time, energy, and money, sometimes for decades, to build a brand that can stand the test of time. And by you choosing to honor their brand and come into that brand with a strategic approach to find out just one concept in your core area, now you are choosing to, one, share their brand with your audience, but more importantly, brand through relational capital, through their earned capital already. See, and a simple hack to branding by association is this concept, and you probably have heard of it. Creating your dream 100 list. These are the 100 individuals that if you had the ability and the possibility to meet with today or tomorrow and to have a conversation with them, who would there be? Right? For me, as I said, some of those people are Oprah, Tony Robbins, Les Brown. These are some of the people that have inspired me to live a better and greater life. So, who are those Dream 100 people that you're excited to bring into your conversation? See, and this is a bonus or a hack that I've developed for my clients. Once you're complete with your Dream 100 list, you take it for a moment and you put it aside. And now you create the Now 100 list. See, the Now 100 list is a list of 100 individuals that you actually have relationship with, you have relational capital with, and you have their contact information. Because what I want you to do, once they're on your Dream 100 list, you reach out to them genuinely. You catch up, you make sure that you put the relationship and the person first. And then you bring him into the conversation and you have an interview with them. You capture the content and you share it. At the end of that interview, you ask them, hey, who else do you know who's amazing in your life that should be part of this conversation? And you would be amazed how quickly the people from your Dream 100 list will start showing up. Because like-minded people know like-minded people. I'll give you a perfect example. One of the people that was on my Dream 100 list for a moment now, his name is Hal Elrod. This gentleman wrote The Miracle Morning. The principles inside that book really transformed my life when I was in one of my deepest points of my life. So I know that his body of work is amazing. And so I've always wanted to have a conversation with him and bring him into my conversation of does he create powerful, strategic, life-changing relationships. And the cool thing is, I was just talking to a friend of mine, and she asked me, "Hey, listen, who's on your Dream 100 list?" I said, "Well, one of the people is Hal Elrod." She says, "You know, it's kind of funny that you say that. One of the people that I grew up with and who's like a best friend to me, he's literally working with him one-on-one. Let me make an introduction and see what happens." And see, the funny thing is, we connected. We had an amazing time. We ended up choosing to exchange podcast interviews on our podcast. And at the end, because we were in such great rapport and relationship, the individual asked me, "Hey, listen, what can I do for you?" I said, "Listen, I don't know if this is possible, but I would love an introduction to Hal. He's one of the people that had literally changed the trajectory of my life. If it's a possibility. If not, I love the relationship that we already have, and I look forward to moving on with that." And he said, "Listen, Hal is somebody that gets 100 requests literally a day, if not a month." He's like, "I can't directly connect you with him, but what I can do is literally connect you with his business partner. That's his like right hand. She's amazing in her own right. She's doing this, and that. And I think she's the one they can put you in contact with Hal even more than I can." He's like said, "I won't mention your name, but she would probably be the right person for you to connect with to take that relationship forward." See, so that's what I'm talking about. As you're clear about your area of genius or that one thing that you are curious about, you know exactly what you're adding to the conversation, and you're very clear about who you do bring into the conversation. The people first approach really starts creating a solid foundation for you. And the three concepts we're going to really break down as a direct result of the special private training that you will have by the time we're done. Number one, we're gonna look at creating strategic, powerful, tested social media content. Number two, we will dive into a concept of creating a connected, powerful, strategic community. And last but not least, we will end the conversation with how do you strategically create powerful, transformational, strategic partnerships in your life, your business, and the impact you're choosing to create in the world. So those are the three areas we're going to go into, and let me break them down one by one. One of the greatest opportunities for you as a thought leader in your space is that ability to create content. Once you know what content to create, that is one task, in my humble personal opinion, is the number one thing that you can do for your life and your business that nobody else can do in your business. Because this concept allows you to connect one to many. Because as an individual, using your time connecting one on one, even if you connect with people, let's say one at a time for an hour, and you don't sleep, you can only connect with 24 people a day, maybe 48 if you cut it in half an hour. But what you can do is you can invest that hour strategically into creating your best piece of content for an hour, sharing some of your biggest takeaways and the things that you've learned on the journey right now before you learn even better strategies and you choose to evolve with that conversation. With that one piece of content, you can literally connect with hundreds, thousands, if not millions of people if you are really passionate about the conversation that you're sharing. But let's take a moment and break it down even more strategically. When it comes to creating strategic, powerful, tested content, I've identified three areas that any individual can go through and really do it strategically. First and foremost, you start with curating content first. What I mean by that, once you know your conversation that you're part of, that you are looking to be excited to learn more of, you write a list of 10 thought leaders that are already in your space that number one, you can start following, which means you will get some of the best information to grow your foundation. Number two, you start genuinely commenting and creating more of a relationship with these thought leaders. Because one of the greatest hacks that I have found to creating really powerful, amazing relationships is honoring the individual's time and their heart. What I mean by that, when an individual or a thought leader puts out a piece of content that's really close to them, they're not doing it just for fun. They're doing it to make an impact. And when you choose to go through that content, share what really resonated with you, and maybe sharing like one strategic question that is deep, you'll be amazed how quickly you'll get attention of that individual. Maybe if not right away in the first comment, but if you choose to do that consistently, you'll start becoming a beacon in their community. You'll start to become a thought leader that they will notice and at the right time will invite beside them. Really powerful strategy for you guys to implement into your business. Number two, go through these 10 people, through their content, and identify 10 most viral pieces of content that they created. Create a list out of it. So now you have 100 pieces of content that is tested and you know that will work for your area of genius or the foundation that you're choosing to share. Prioritizing for you, meaning from your experience, your vision, say, okay, with all this tested content, and as long as it's about the same amount of engagement, meaning the top 10, the top three videos are going to be at the top. The rest of them are going to kind of go into that prioritization. But the point of it is that you pick those key topics for you. And first and foremost, you can even just do a reaction video and say, hey, I agree with this concept. I don't agree with this concept. This is what was amazing about this concept. This is what I would add to the conversation in this concept. So, number three, you share the concept and the videos with your community without adding anything to the conversation. Because just because of curation, here's the cool part that when you share an amazing piece of content with your audience, you get 80% of relational capital. What do I mean by that? When you share a great piece of content with your community, even if it's not your own, the people will identify you with that piece of content because they would have never came across that piece of content otherwise if it wasn't for you. One, you're learning and you're creating a greater base for yourself. Number two, you're creating opportunities for you to bring your audience or strategic partners into conversation with you, into greater level of relationship with you through that concept. So you share those videos. Step number two, create your content. Now that you're curating your content around your core area of magic, you start now creating content. As I said, first can literally be a green screen with a video and you do a reaction video. Two, you can be inspired by these videos to see what's missing out of their conversation. So often I will do videos and say, listen, you guys, I've been watching this video by Alex Hermosi. He was talking about this concept and it inspired a thought and idea that I want to share with you. And right. And then I would go into the idea that is completely unique to me, but that is inspired by the core content that we've consumed. And last but not least, when it comes to creating content, you communicate it powerfully. This is where you start looking at where are some of the strategic collaborations you can create in your community with like-minded individuals. Let's say maybe you have 1,000 followers. You start identifying strategically other thought leaders in your space that may have 1,000 to 10,000 people, and you reach out to them and say, listen, I would love to collaborate. Here's what I would love to give to your audience, and I would love for you to share some of your concepts with my audience. Now you take your content and you strategically position it in other people's communities and you start building those relationships, number one. But number two, you start sharing audiences. So hopefully that gives you guys a bit of a overview on how do you create strategic social media content powerfully that's tested and proven without you having to guess what will actually work. So, Miss Martina, I would love to do a bit of a pause in this special private training and see if you or your amazing community have any questions regarding what I've shared, or maybe they want to share an aha moment that, like, oh my God, as a result of this conversation that we're having now, this is what I would like to do.
Sure. Thank you, Alexi. Everyone, please go ahead and share your ahas or questions in the chat. You can unmute yourself. That's also a possibility if you have any reflection on this. I love the fact that you mentioned this formula of 10 by 10 of really identifying what's already working, because we know that we want to amplify what already is bringing results, and then basically modeling after that without copying, but taking that as an inspiration and adding to the conversation. That part is awesome. And then obviously also the collaboration piece and not going like overboard. You're just starting out and you identify only people that have 100 times more followers and engagement than you. Starting where you're at and understanding that it's a very powerful momentum builder once you identify the right opportunities and you take action. Thank you for that. Let's see if anybody wants to add anything. Don't be shy. Alex, you need to understand the Slovene community is very reserved. Usually it's a very different temperament than some of the global spaces. Doesn't mean that they don't appreciate what you're sharing. Ladies, we want to make a good impression as a Slovene club, so please do interact. That's why we're here. I'm super excited that all of you have taken time out of your weekend to attend. So make sure to make the most of it by actually engaging. Sharing the ahas is a very powerful technique to absorb more, to retain more of the information, and basically to see it in a different light. I'll keep an eye on the chat, Alexi, and so we can then maybe add some comments later. I know that everybody is super eager to learn about community building and especially the school platform, like because nobody talks about it here yet. So that is super amazing. Let's see what Daniela wrote, and I will translate. She says that it's amazing and that she hasn't even thought about connecting in this way. Yeah, that's the purpose of these trainings, to create a perspective shift. So that's wonderful. Awesome. Where do we go from here, Alexi? Do we start talking about the connected communities, the concept that you developed, or what would you like to continue with?
Here's the reason why I'm choosing to invite you guys into the conversation. Because the more that you guys are active, the more that you guys are sharing your aha moments or clarifying questions, the more that you will receive. And this is a perfect example. If Miss Martina did not share her aha moments, I would have not connected another concept that I'm about to share with you as a bonus that I wasn't planning to share. One of the other things that I've been testing and being very mindful of is the concept of the micro influencer, because everybody wants to these days connect with the top of the top, with, let's say, the Tony Robbinses, and I don't know who's huge in Slovene market, right? You guys have your own amazing thought leaders that are doing great work. And here's the cool part. I believe 2025 is one of the best times and opportunities before this becomes mainstream, is really understanding the power of micro influencers. And I would say these are the influencers that have 1,000, at max 10,000 connections and followers. And the reason why I say that is that a micro influencer has exponentially greater relationship with their audience that somebody is above 10,000. Because just realistically, unless they have this special private training that I'm sharing with you, with an exception of a few amazing thought leaders that have kind of cracked the code, and I'll mention them as inspiration for part of the concepts that I'm sharing, they haven't cracked the code on how do you connect to your major audiences at scale. So therefore, yes, they may have, let's say, 100,000 or maybe 1 million followers, but that relationship that they have with the audience is completely different than somebody has that only 10,000 followers and they show up for their community and they almost know some of their core leaders by name. Because those are the individuals that you want to collaborate with, because when you collaborate with those individuals, you get exponential return on your investment, because of the relational capital that exists in those relationships. It's greater. It may not be as wide, but it's definitely deeper. So that's part of the reason, hopefully, why you guys might want to engage or ask your questions or share your aha moments, because sometimes it'll spark or connect something else that I'm not thinking about at the top of my head, because I do have the structure in my mind as far as the special private training to make sure that you guys get the most benefit out of it, and that I don't leave anything out. And I'm literally, as I'm listening or having Dr. Martina translating your concepts to me, I'm literally writing down notes that I don't forget something to share. Because even as she was sharing, I'm like, I had the idea, I had the thought, and I was choosing to be present with her, and it almost flew out of my mind. Because I'm like, oh my God, let me get back to it. It was a very important idea to share. So yeah, the power of influencers can be your unfair advantage in this market, because it also follows, I would say, a world concept of serve those that nobody wants to serve, and I'll bring you those that everybody wants to serve. As I said, part of the concept is when you are identifying these 10 thought leaders, that you start adding value to them through consuming their content, through leaving powerful shares and concepts and adding value to their community. You will, by byproduct, become a thought leader in their community and a very possible strategic partner for them down the line. See, because when you play the game of life in the sandbox of your strategic thought leader, they will notice. And this is the strategic way to connecting with those individuals, because you're adding to what they truly care about. Therefore, you can get disproportionate results as a result of it. So hopefully that completes our special private training on creating content, not only consciously, but strategically. And now I would like to go into the concept of community, or as I call it, the concept of the connected community. Let me give you a bit of the reason why I think this is important. First and foremost, I believe that when you meet an individual, first and foremost, your greatest opportunity is to serve them and not to sell them. What I mean by that, if you can bring that individual into a greater level of relationship with you versus giving them an offer or an opportunity that you have, you will win every time. Because when you bring him an offer, an opportunity, the opportunity for them is to say yes or to say no is very high. And if they don't connect with your service opportunity at that time, in that moment, you've broken the bridge of trust. And it's very hard to come back over that bridge with something else. But if you take the time to genuinely create that relationship first, you have multiple opportunity through the power of built relational capital to share with them what might actually be of service to them in a very strategic, non-threatening way. And if they say no to that in that moment, you still have the relationship that you move forward with. That is why the power of connected communities can be the game changer in your life and your business. Also, a true known fact in the industry, most people know of what's called the old school, which is I call the passive lists. These are the list of clients or past clients or potential leads of an individual or their business. It's called their emailing list, right? Usually it's a very passive relationship, meaning that you send them information, and if magic strikes, you might get a sale here or there eventually. The second level of that relationship that I have identified is what I call an engaged list. Usually in its example of these days, either text marketing or messenger marketing, where an individual is more likely to actually see your communication. These days, you guys probably have seen it. Thought leaders will send you a text, hey, my workshop is starting, or here's a gift, or maybe you get a messenger message in the same. It's easier to see because it's not in a pool of 200 to 300 emails that you get a day that you might or might not see, but at least it's one-way communication. And what I'm inviting you into is the concept of relationship, what I call level 3, a conversation. That's why a bit ago I said your greatest opportunity when you meet an individual is creating genuine relationship and bringing them into conversation with you, getting to know where they're truly at in life and business, so you can genuinely have a consultative relationship with them, not a sales relationship. As you get to know them, as you build that know, like, and trust, you earn the right to be that consultant, to be that doctor that can write that prescription, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to sell them something. It feels like you're there to serve them. Because one, as part of the strategy, you're adding so much content, time, and love to the process that you literally take your ideal partner when you meet them, you add massive value to them, you expose them to who you truly are, not just your offer, then you get to upgrade them in creating a greater level of relationship with you. And when it's the right time for them, you give them the opportunity to say yes to an offer or an invitation that can really make a difference in their life. I hope that really clarifies it. And I see Dr. Martina might have something that you would like to add.
Yes, yes. I would love for you to make it a little more concrete for us, because it's like there are a lot of different scenarios and a lot of different nuances to what you're explaining. And I understand this is the beginning, it's the concept, to give you a bit of a context of what the climate or the atmosphere is on the market, in the marketplace. Like there's a lot of people who are absolutely keen to gather as much knowledge as they can. They will attend every free nurture type of event and just soak up all that you are willing to give them. But they are just literally not, they don't have the mindset necessarily to be that ideal, not a strategic partner and not a client. It's just not the right fit. I believe that everybody that's listening to this is actually wondering as well, like, how can you be discerning? And also, is this like a one-to-many scenario? Is this like a one-to-one? Like, how does it look like in real life? And then we also have a question from Daniela, who's asking, like, how do you know, and I have so much to say on this, how do you know that they will appreciate you as much as you appreciate them? How do you create a win-win relationship? So a lot to unpack, I know, but you're the expert on relationships, so let you take it away.
I love that. Thank you so much for the question. And it's a perfect question because that's exactly what I'm about to share in the community piece of this training. I just wanted to make sure to set the foundation and the reasoning behind why we do this.
You'll find that this is a very advanced community and a very advanced group. I've been working with a lot of these entrepreneurs for years. Some are new, some are with me since the beginning of the mastermind in 2018. So feel free to go into advanced stuff. We can take it. Like they are used to me and I'm very intense with them. So you can go all in for sure.
I love that. And yes, so let's go ahead and go into the strategic elements of creating a powerful strategic group and how do you do that strategically at scale? So, number one, when it comes to creating a connected community, and I do want to caveat it with this, I hope that you guys are able to take away the strategy, not just the tactics. And what I mean by that, this strategy can be deployed on Facebook groups, on school, on Go High Level. It doesn't matter as much of the platform as long as the platform has the features in order to deploy this strategy. I'm going to caveat with that because, as I said, if somebody's just starting in the market, they could start with free Facebook groups and then upgrade, for example, to a platform like School or to Go High Level. This concept will scale. The main thing is you understand these three next concepts that I've identified when it comes to creating a powerful community. So, concept number one is creating the identity shift for your ideal potential partner. What transformation journey are they on? For example, they are a your average entrepreneur that is about to go through a shift of becoming an intuitive strategic entrepreneur. They are a business owner that will go through the identity shift of becoming a leverage strategic business owner through the power of investing their money, not their time and expertise only in their business. So now they get to do what they love because they choose to, not because they have to, because they have other streams of income. So, what is the identity shift that you're creating? And you guys have to remember, first and foremost, you are the guide, not the star when it comes to this strategy. Your potential partner is the star, and you are the consultant or the guide that chooses to take them down this path. So, for example, my identity shift in my community that I will make available to each and every one of you, as long as you put, the magic words of Miss Martina in the person who referred you, because this community for me is invitation only. This is why I choose to serve, and literally I should be charging thousands of dollars for it, but I'm not only teaching what I know, I'm also practicing it. So you'll get a good example of this. So my identity shift happens through 9 different steps. Actually, let me open it up so I can tell you exactly what my identity value ladder is so that you can understand the depth of this content. And this is how deep you can take it as long as you know the process. So for me, my identity shift happens with my ideal client when they first come into my community. They come in as a dreamer. They have the opportunity to upgrade to an action taker, then a leader, then a servant leader, then a thought leader, then a micro influencer, strategic partner, and for me, the big transformation is becoming a dream hacker. This is an individual that can take a dream, they can break it down to steps that are strategic, and they can achieve their dreams. So I really want you to think about that deeper identity shift for your ideal client or partner or a journey map that they can go. What are those big stepping stones that each and your potential client is going through so that you can identify number one, where they're at in that moment and what is their next strategic step. See, which allows you to, at scale, identify who's just curious and interested in your ideas and concepts and who's actually committed. This is starting to create that strategic element into this connected community concept. Number one is identity shift. Concept number two, to support the identity shift, what are the gifts that you can offer strategically at each level of transformation that will support the transformation, number one, but also reward them for taking that step. See, and this allows you as a thought leader to not give them everything at once like a buffet where they get stuffed and they do nothing, but to strategically have the breadcrumbs for them to follow and actually create transformation in their life even before you get to partner with them one-on-one. But this allows you at scale to bring 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 100,000 people, and to right away see where is your community at and who are the individuals that are self-identifying as the next best logical strategic relationship for you to add value to. Because they're already doing the work. They're just not consuming content, but they're actually voting with one of their greatest gifts, which is number one is their time, and number two is attention. Number three is trust. Number four is affiliation. I want you guys to really think about that. And this is how you're able to strategically approach it. And this is a bit of a bonus. My whole concept is actually divided into 3 different communities. And this is what I actually do with my advanced clients. When I take their core solution, I break it down into 3 simple steps. I'll usually sit down with them and identify what is the number one step for their ideal partner to go through. Like, what is that one thing that you can teach them that will actually create results, not just good content? For me personally, it's how do they build a strategic list of resources or their list? It's amazing how often I will go into a business and they have no idea who's on our list, who's been part of their best customer list. Like, it blows my mind. And in a way, it's such a simple concept. And yet, because I've been doing this for the last 15 years, I know for them that is the greatest stone that they need to lift or turn. And until they do that, they don't get to progress into any of my advanced teachings because they haven't shown me that there's somebody that's willing to go through step one first. And so for me, that level of value for them will be locked at that first step or that first identity shift, if you want to call it that way as well. And the rest of the body of knowledge will be locked behind that value ladder of identity shift. Number 2 step, usually I'll identify is what is that next step strategically? Usually that is a paid relationship that's at group, like a group coaching, group consulting, even a course, your signature course. This would be, from $1,000 to $2,500. This is to test how serious are they about bringing their results into their life. Are they just interested and curious about it? Or they're actually serious where they're willing to not only invest their attention and time, but they're also willing to invest their money. And they're willing to do the work to get the result. And last but not least, step 3, I call it the SMART step. And this is really the strategic step. For me, usually it's presented in either a mastermind program where you bring in like-minded individuals that already has shown you that they're willing to do the work, that they have results, and now it's a matter of creating momentum with their results, not just leverage with the next step. So with the first step, it's all about creating your first results, strategic results. With the second step of the next step, it's all about creating leverage to those results. And last but not least, with the SMART step, it's all about creating momentum with those results because that what makes all the difference. So being able to take that concept, I have multiple communities that people get access to once they've earned the right. My first community is called the Dream Hacker. They go through the identity shift of the Dream Hacker and they get all the gifts and everything. So they upgrade themselves to what I call a strategic partner in the Dream Hacker. Step number two for me is a community that's called the Game Changer community. These are the people that are already have earned the right. They already are a dream hacker and they're going after a bigger game. And they're choosing to take those results they've already achieved and create additional leverage. And last but not least, my third community is with the same concepts, is developed in the same way, but for higher tier people that choosing to really engage the game of life on a completely different level. And that is called the legacy builders. These individuals are usually at seven figures and they're looking to make an impact in the world and they're looking to really affect the world. This is a completely different group of individuals than the Dream Hacker community. And for me, this is a fun fact. The first community is focused all about the game of life. The identity, the main identity shift in them is really become a leader of their life, their family, and their community. The second group is really more about playing the game of business to the highest level. How can we get their money on par with their leadership so that not only are they a leader, but they have funds to put behind their causes? And last but not least, the game of impact is on the third step, and that game is really focused on how do we bring amazing thought leaders together and create exponential results in the field. So just to do a bit of a recap, number one, what identity shift are you creating in your audience? Do you know what it is? Can you identify it? Can you break it down to such a granular that your individual client or potential partner knows that you're the expert? Take them through that value ladder strategically by giving them strategic gifts. Or actually, let me give you an example. When somebody comes into my community and they're a dreamer, when they go from a dreamer to an action taker, they unlock a course called Becoming the CEO of Your Life. When they go from, a leader to a thought leader, they unlock my video book training that's valued at $1,000, and it allows them to then learn that next level. Now that I'm a leader, how do I become a thought leader? Once they've become a thought leader and they become a micro influencer, my gift to them is a 15-minute Q&A with me that will go into the community, as I call it, a thought leader keynote. And at each level, the gift becomes so great that they can't not go through that step. But the only way that they unlock that step is when they consume the content, they take the action, and they document the result. And then obviously strategic giving. And last but not least, the third piece of the community building is how do you gamify the process so it becomes a game, not a chore, to go through this experience. And what I mean by that, what competitions, what leaderboards can you create, additional bonuses for them in order for them to earn the right? For example, I do choose to use the school platform for my school because I believe they have this element figured out better than any other on the market right now. There's also Go High Level that's copying them, but school is still the leader in what they're doing. And for me, it's amazing how a number of my leaders that were helping me test this concept, they were like, oh, come on, it's another one of those, like blah, blah, blah. And they got into the process. And now they're competing with each other. Oh, I just became an action taker. I just became, and it's kind of a dynamic thing. And they're competing. And now, have amazing people that are thought leaders and this and that. And it's kind of funny, but they're enjoying the process. They're enjoying the rewards and they're enjoying, right, the gamification of it. Because here's the gift of gamification to you as the thought leader. When we were talking about approaching the process strategically, I choose to show up in this community, and my promise to this community is that I will gift at least an hour of my time into this community complimentary. And just to put this into caveat, whenever I do consulting, an hour of my time is billed at $5,000 an hour. So if somebody wanted to hire me for an hour, they literally would write me a $5,000 check. But because they're part of my strategic community and the game that I'm choosing to play strategically, and they're playing the game correctly by going through the levels of leadership, whenever I go on in that community for an hour, number one, I am first and foremost adding value to my highest leaders. I look at, okay, who's at level 7? Do they have any questions or concerns? Do I have anybody at level 6? Here's the cool part with that strategy, right? It makes your approach to community building very strategically. Because if somebody is wanting your time, they either A, pay with their results in the outside world, or they pay with the results with the inside world. I personally don't care which, because to me, they're the same type of person. Because if you're willing to create results, whether in my community or in your life, to me, they're the same. Because it's the same type of person. And you get to show up very strategically to your community in a strategic way so that you can have the lifestyle and a powerful business. Meaning that I can literally drive a 7-figure business with showing up 1 hour a week for my entire community. One, serving the community, creating some of the what I call Taylor Swift moments. And why I say Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is one of the most amazing entrepreneurs in the United States that have cracked the code on the community building in the most strategic way. And the reason why I say that is that her community feels connected. And because she does pop-up experiences, sometimes she'll literally show up at a fan's birthday party, surprisingly, but that connects her community. See, this same strategy allows you to do the same. Meaning, whenever you are on that hour, yes, you take care of your leadership first, because those are the people that are choosing to play your game. They're really adding value to your community and to you. But more importantly, you can choose a couple of lucky people that might be on level 1 or level 2. I probably usually will do level 2 because level 1, they just came in, they haven't done anything. But at least if they go from a dreamer to an action taker, I can highlight 1 or 2 and give them that magical moment, give them that 2 to 3 minutes to answer their biggest questions. Because number one, I'm already creating content that I'm going to put on social media anyway. Because for me, it becomes strategic anyway. But I'm adding that magic. I'm reconnecting all of that community and giving the community the ability to go, oh my God, if I'm part of this community and I actually do the work and Alexi notices, I can be rewarded with such an amazing result and a gift. So number 3 is creating a gamification in your community. So let me just one more time repeat. Number 1, what identity shift are you taking your community through? Number 2, what are strategic rewards that you install for them to encourage them to go through this experience and to be the greatest value to your community? And last but not least, how do you gamify the process that it becomes a game, not a chore? So that completes the concept of building your connected community strategically. And I'm happy to answer any questions to really dive deep on how do you take this concept and apply into your business and your life and the impact that you're choosing to create in the world.
Amazing, Alexi. Thank you. Yeah, we do have a bunch of questions because this was so juicy. I want to start with Moita and what you wrote in the chat. So the first comment was, I think that's very good. I'm also considering accepting only those who have completed my basic program and are truly motivated into my mentoring program. And then her questions are, so all the people in your community always know that you have multiple groups and what the conditions for transitioning between them are. So let's start with that one. Are they aware of your paid levels of the step or community number 2 and 3?
So usually I will identify the next strategic step as far as the next paid community in the first community, and they're chain linked, because it doesn't make sense for me to talk about step 7 or 8 with somebody that's on step 1 or 2. And I do want to address the question of, do I put them through my mastermind program first before I put them into community, versus do I just open this to everybody and then upgrade them? So let me answer that question. I've tested both. My invitation to your community is that they have a catch-all community. That's what I call it. My first community is really a catch-all. Because here's the gift behind the strategy. Some people, and this will make sense with piece 3 that I'm about to teach. Some people, they will only be partnering with you through engagement only. They'll never upgrade to affiliate or equity partnership. And that's completely okay, because here's the magic behind those. They're creating engagement that drives your social media and that potentially will drive your referrals. Meaning that if somebody is having a great time, they're seeing amazing content, and I show them how do they strategically, like for example, one of the trainings that I have in my community that basically shows them how to hack the concept and get all the gifts sooner. And the secret is they need to introduce other people into the community. Because when they have a community, it's all driven by points. So if they have more people collaborating with them, they'll go through the value ladder faster. But that means that I'm being exposed to their network much faster. So literally that cuts down my cost of advertising exponentially. And the cool part about it is like-minded people know like-minded people. And if it's an individual that, let's say, in your case, may just, as you say, wants to consume content, that's fine. But every one of those knows a superstar. Maybe not in a direct relationship, but indirect relationships. And because you create this net of a network, it allows you to source some of the best, amazing strategic partners as a result of it. Let me give you an example of this concept really working. I have an individual in my life that I love, adore, and she's not the person who's the smartest tool in the tool shed. And here's the cool part. She connected me with one individual that was lukewarm as well. That individual connected me to one lukewarm as well. And on the fifth tier, through that network, I was connected with an individual that has become my strategic partner now, who's a superstar times 10. That's the value of opening this community up. Because here's the thing, and I'll tell you this as well. I originally started with a community that I said, you know what, this is worth at least $1,000 a month. Like this whole process, if they actually utilize it on all the gifts that are over 30,000 gifts that they can unlock. I tested it at $10 a month, but it stopped the strategic social approach of it. Now people had to make a financial decision versus me saying, you know what, come to the party. And the most amazing people get identified and they move up very quickly. And then these are the people that I love connecting with and spending time with. Like I had one individual come into my community literally 2 weeks ago. And because she's such a mover and shaker, adds massive value to the community. Within a few weeks, she's on level 6. And for me, I know this is the individual that I want to invest my time into if I have additional time beyond my level 7 leaders. Does that make sense? And clarifies a little bit of the strategy and why this is very powerful. And yes, after that, you can have information about really that next step. as I call it, for me, that next community over. There's an amazing training if you guys want to check it out by uh gentleman, his name is Patrick David. He created the company called Valuetainment. He's one of the best entrepreneurial minds in United States. One of my favorite talks by him is called Your Next 15 Moves, Think Like a Chess Master. Because one of the things that he shares, which is confirmation to what I'm teaching you guys right now, it's that you're part of circles, part of circles, part of circles. There's always going to be the top 10% and the bottom 10%. And this exact strategy allows you to identify who's in the top 10% and who's in the bottom 10. Part of the advanced strategy, once this is really going, you could install a concept where you have so many people in the community that you say, hey, if you don't engage at least within 30 days, you'll lose access. And once you lose access, you can't get it back for free. You'll have to pay. So you can put that next gate of what's the word, filtering, so that you're like, hey, if you're in this community, you want to at least engage. At least once a month, come say hello, share a resource, maybe connect with somebody. But this is really encouragement for them to do something versus to do nothing. But that's part of the advanced strategy. Once you have enough people in there, that's you're like, okay, how do I polish this beautiful diamond? So hopefully that answers that question.
Yes, I heard this amazing analogy once with the cat and cheese for a mouse. You want a reward, but also the reason on the other side of what somebody wants to avoid, which is the cat in this case. This 30-day access that gets revoked if an action is not taken is an example. I love that. So basically, Moita is asking if the first community is free, which we understood it. Yes, that's the most strategic move. What really stood out for me from what you just shared is the fact that there are these tiers of connections and you never know, like literally who knows who. And so if you just keep that concept of catch all and keep your, basically as a generous leader, keep the gates open and then allow people to self-filter, because literally it is a funnel. It's a very elegant funnel. It's just different than the ones that we are maybe used to. But it sounds like Skool as a platform in particular has the right infrastructure and tools to make this happen, basically, because you can gate certain rewards. I have quite a few questions, but first of all, let me address the one that Moitza posted about, do you also have any assistants who also help in the group and answer questions?
Yes. So let me do that piece. See, I wasn't even planning to share this, but you guys are talking about advanced. So number one, I have my executive assistant in there that literally does the approvals. So even though, yes, my community is free, it's invitation only. Like for me, that's the gate I choose to keep. For other entrepreneurs that I'm learning from that are literally taking this concept and maybe not in the same strategy, but the community piece that they're doing, the individual that I'm partnering with, his community is about 60,000 people. And his paid community is making about, if I remember correctly, about 400,000 a month as a direct result of this same strategy. He brings them into his free community that has this free course, and part of the onboarding process, they do a consultative Q&A and saying, hey, listen, this is what you got, this is the value, and if you're one of those people that wants to take it to the next level right away and get access to the thought leader that started this group even more, here's an invitation to our next tier of community, which is, I think when I joined it, it was, I think, $125 a month. Now I think it's like $250 a month. But the point of it is that all of those strategic elements that can be installed as well. So yes, you started with an executive assistant, number one. And number two, the second advanced strategy that I am choosing to test right now, and it's been working quite well, create partners out of your community leaders. What I mean by that, I tell them, listen, this community is yours, not only mine. Come hang out, come and add value. Let's us collaborate and take care of our people. And when they earn the right of becoming the strategic partner, this is the leadership value, I make them an admin in the community. Because one, I know them, I like them, I trust them. And now they're literally helping me move this whole community forward. And here's the cool part. Even though it is a catch-all, I want to make sure to highlight this piece. You're serving at the highest level those that really do the work, and you encourage everybody else to hopefully take that next step. So your time is always leveraged. And for me, if this tool did only this and this only, for me, it's a game changer as an entrepreneur. It's literally identifying strategically who's the next person I need to talk to if I have an additional 5 minutes, for example. Right?
Amazing.
I need to send a video message saying, hey, I love what you're doing in the community. Thank you for showing up. I look forward to seeing you on the call, right? Now you're starting to take relationships that are brand new to you and literally create super fans on demand that will be like Taylor Swift fans that will literally kill for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is the type of following this strategy allows you to create strategically. And so hopefully that answers the question. So yes, first, I would say have an executive assistant or even a virtual assistant that does the day-to-day work and maybe does the admin stuff where you show up once a week and drop massive value or share some of your biggest learnings and takeaways. Because this could be a platform for you to create strategic content and serve your community as a secondary. Like for me, very shortly in the new year, one of the things I'm going to be adding to the community, well, two. One, Ms. Martina is going to do her masterclass for my community. So now we're collaborating, right? As she gets to share this private training with her community, I get to share her private training with my community. Now we're choosing to collaborate strategically. And number two, I'm going to install 1 hour of power for my servant leaders and literally do just business consulting and answering their highest question, number one. And number two, part of that hour of power that I'm going to be gifting them, I'm going to be sharing concepts like I'm doing with you. This is what's working for me and my high-end clients. And this is an additional bonus and reward. I was going to record this concept and training anyway. I might as well do it with the community when they get the value, they get the aha moments, and they get to go, oh my God, I need to share this with this person, this person, this person. Because they get relational capital, being connected with me, having access to this information. It raises their social skills and social status while I'm still doing what I wanted to do anyway. So it's a multi-level approach to strategically investing your time at exponential levels. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, and I have some clarifying questions regarding the content and your commitment to the community. Because before you mentioned an hour a month, where basically, from my understanding, that is open to everybody. It's just that then you choose whose questions you answer, starting with the leaders at the higher ranks, so to speak. And then now you're mentioning that the servant leader level, which is one of in your ladder. Are these two different calls? Because I guess, does somebody need to be a servant leader to get access? And then there is one that brings the magic in the whole community, into the whole community. So that's one part of the question. The second part is you already started answering that with the idea of actually creating strategic content for the community, maybe once a week. What's your rhythm then of posting or sharing? What kind of content does well on the school platform specifically? If maybe you have some thoughts on that, because it's really, I feel that this is such an incredible strategy of taking the concept of an ideal client magnet or lead magnet, but like really for your ideal clients, and really amping it up, because it's like you're adding the community element, you're adding the gamification, which is so important because our attention spans are so small nowadays. And so it's a lead magnet on a rocket fuel. It's really going into outer space. I would be curious if you could elaborate on those content pieces and your commitment at the various level. Plus, let me add this, basically, from my understanding, you need to make some decisions once you start your own community in terms of the levels and then the associated prizes and what formats those are going to be, how to basically create that journey for your audience. I would love for you, please, to share some details on that.
First and foremost, with your question, I want to say this. This concept is all about creating the most amazing buffet. But the way that you create the most amazing buffet is you first do a dish that everybody loves and you get known for. This is what attracts everybody. And that's really that 1 hour a week that I choose to invest into my community and have the community call open to others. One of the strategic ways you could do it as well, and this is one of the concepts that we were having a private conversation around, is like, hey, I don't want to get another job. I'm looking to have a traveling entrepreneurial lifestyle. So one of the things that we've identified, one of the strategies that you can use as well, is have the audience provide a 30-second to 60-second question to you and put it into the group, the link, and either A, you can go through those questions yourself, those 30-second videos, or you can have your executive assistant go through them and maybe even group them. Let's say 2 questions came on networking, 1 question came on investing, 1 question came in on, I don't know, lead magnets. And so now you're like, okay, you take the questions that had the most and you answer those first, and you pick the number one person that literally did the best job of asking that question, and you put his video, or you have them on live to re-ask that question, and then you answer it for the whole community, and then you go down the list of, okay, then the next question had 3 inquiries, and then you answer that in one. So that's how you can do it strategically, really powerfully, but still leveraging your time. Number two, for me, because the strategy has been creating amazing results and some of the most amazing conversations and potential partners, I'm choosing to invest another hour over my time with the strategic leaders. With that call, and I will be honest and transparent with you guys, this is the new element that I'm testing in my community and seeing if me adding another hour to the process will create exponential results. Because my theory is this: if I'm adding value to these core leaders and they exponentially grow and I can create a case study, one, it's a win-win for me, but two, the community grows exponentially very quickly. And number two, as I was actually thinking about it as the question was posed, is that my idea behind it is that maybe the thought leaders get access to it, like meaning you have to be a level 5 and above, for example, to get this, because then it's another gift of encouragement. But number two, I may create it where the level 5s get the power of speech, but if there's something like magic that happens within that call, it might end up as a bonus as part of the community value ladder bonuses. Because here's the thing, the whole concept of the rewards and the identity shift levels, it's not a matter for you to create work. I need to create 3 more courses, do this. First and foremost, it's not about getting it good, but about getting it done. Let's look at what you already have and let's reposition it in the proper place. I already had a book strategy that I was already using with my clients, but I never recorded it, and so it was never a gift. So when we were on Rapid Lead Generation Summit, I recorded it, and now it's literally a gift. All I do is just I took the recording, I had my team edited to clean it up, and now it's literally a bonus. But you can literally build this community as you go Because here's the cool part. Your first thought leaders will say yes to you because it's you. And that's what drove my first 30 leaders in my community. And I kept it at that. And we kind of perfected, we saw what worked, what didn't, we polished it. And now I'm about to open it up to my marketers cruise community. These are thought leaders on top of thought leaders. I'm going to bring them into the community and see what next advanced learning that I get to, one, learn for myself, but two, then share with my community. And see, this strategy really focuses on the highest leverage relationships that you can find. Because at the end of the day, as I said, if this shows me at least one person a month that I can strategically invest into and create exponential results, this strategy is worth its weight in gold, at least for me. Because a high end client for me starts at $25,000. So that being the case, and a strategic leader that I get to partner with can mean millions to me if we do it correctly. And now I'm bringing some of my quality relationships to the table. I'm helping them basically facilitate this concept in their communities that they already have 1,000, 100,000, a million people. When they install this concept, and I'm telling you guys, you're not even on the ground floor of this opportunity. The people that are testing these strategies right now, they're getting ridiculous results because it's like, imagine your first days of Google Ads or Facebook marketing where you literally could get clients for a penny on a dollar. This is the next opportunity that I'm seeing right now because everybody is shifting. Because before it was your blogs, then it was the social, then it was the courses, then it was the masterminds. Right now, the next biggest opportunity that will create ridiculous results will be the concept, as I call it, of connected communities. Because people will be attracted to who you are or what you can do for them. They will stay for the relationships that your community creates. I literally have multiple friends of mine that are paying for one specific community of mine that I'm thinking about right now, over $50,000 a year, and sometimes they don't even show up. Why? Because they know the value of that community, and if they leave that community, one, they might never ever get back to it because that's the way that their rules are set up. Hey, when you leave, that price point is done, number one. Number two, even if they go into that community, it will be charged at the current price, which at now it's, I think it's like $150,000 a year. So this is just some of the ideas that you can also play with down the line when you're starting to do the advanced version of the strategy. But before you get there, don't get good, get done. Install a strategy into your business and start getting the results. I'm telling you guys, the level of conversation and the people that I'm getting to connect with now, just running this concept, it's amazing. It's worth the price of the ticket. I don't even care about the free people. I just don't. Like, because to me, it identifies those amazing people that I get to connect with. And I'm like, yes, and yes. Like, literally, because of this community concept, I got gifted I would say something that's valuable to me at $50,000 a year. And the person's, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to partner. And here's what I can do for you. As long as you're willing to like guide me around this areas where I can use support. And I'm like, to me, that area of support is easy. I'm like, I can do that in my sleep. This is where I need my support in. So this strategy not only top grades your clients and partners, it allows your strategic partners and what I call the board of directors to come in so that you can take your life and your business to the next level. Because when it comes to the big game of business, it's never about the strategy, it's about the team that you put together. Like Alex Hermosi, who's a mentor of mine, he runs a portfolio of $200 million companies a year. And he's literally goes, I had everything wrong. He's like, now I understand why the biggest companies in the world, all they talk about is talent and creating the best team that they can. Because that's how you win the big game of business, not just the sandbox that we sometimes choose to play in. So hopefully that answers your question.
That's so cool, Alexi. What I'm hearing is that there is the benefit, obviously, of the people self-selecting and upgrading and then inquiring about your services. And we'll get into, I have questions about the conversion and invitations and so on. But then there is this whole other world of the fact that because you are visible and you're doing something cool, you're positioned as a leader, you're giving to the community, they see you, they want to partner up, they want to introduce you, they want to offer you amazing gifts. There's a lot of open doors or doors opening everywhere because of it. And so there's this huge compound effect of everything that you actually invest into a community like this. Plus, it really elevates your brand day in and day out. And it's a great asset to have for the future as well, because then this is a very warmed up public that wants to consume even more, especially because you make it fun with the gamification. Daniela is asking, can you please clarify? So if somebody in your, let's say, free community refers other people to the community, can they advance faster? Can you set up the rules that way that they get more points and they can advance to the next level faster if they are more of an ambassador of the community?
The quick and easy answer is already there. I just
Okay.
highlighted the concept. I said, listen, you guys, if you haven't thought about this value ladder is driven by social points, meaning that the more you add value, the more of a team that you have that you can create a conspiracy of success. I tell them this community will make all the difference in your life. And if you choose to, and you trust me enough to bring in your board of directors, which is your 5 people that you choose to surround yourself with anyway, that you're playing the game of life with, you'll get exponential results. Meaning, because now they're bringing some of their best people into the community, they're having fun all together, they're self supporting one another. Number one, they become a solid leader in my community. They're not leaving, but their people now want to do the same. They're like, well, why can't I bring board of directors? Because it's such an amazing process, it's an amazing community. And I think that's the key. If you make the community so good, they feel dumb saying no to, that's when you win. Like where it's, oh my God. And that's one of the concepts that I took from Alex Hermosi. And he says this. He says, if you're going to give something away that people are already paying for. I could easily charge at minimum $100 a month, if not $1,000 a month for this community and this process. And it's worth every penny because if somebody actually does the work, they will get 6 figures out of the process. I know it, I've tested it for 15 years. And this is the next level for me to get more strategic about it, where I get to be exposed to audiences that I would have never been exposed to because the community is so good and so valuable. People can't help not to share,
So the
right?
short answer is yes, you can reward them by when they refer. And then this is a very interesting comment by Daniela. So she says, this is the energy of the period 9, which is in Chinese metaphysics. That's where we're at. And it's all about community. So this is exactly what's being supported right now. It's the energy of fire, and the fire needs a community to burn. So thank you, Daniela. Very cool. I wanted to ask you about, you're mentioning the income potential that gets created. And I think we need to talk about this because as entrepreneurs, we do have a duty to our business to basically be very smart with investing our resources. And so we need to, in quotes, justify the investment, let's say, in growing a community like this. And so just so that everybody understands a little more concretely, like how do the dots connect in terms of like how do you get to the 100,000 and more? How do you invite people to take the next paid step with you? Do you actually integrate the invitations at each level? You mentioned something about that before. Or then you also mentioned that maybe you wait until level 7 or 8 to start introducing something more of a high ticket. So I would love your thoughts on this, because like the strategy, I think, behind this smooth flow between free and then paid is one of the key pillars of making this a success. So I'd love that.
First and foremost, I want to say this, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make in the space. But because I've been around business and the way that my mind works, I can see this. In this step of the process, the number one concept that I would highly recommend that you're mindful of is that you use the three-step method. Each community has to be unique, but adding value to one another. Because if you create a free community and then a paid community in the same space, you're cannibalizing the free strategic element of it. Because people will see you for what it is. Oh, the free community, there's no value in it. You have to be part of the paid, and it kills the social element of the free community. That's why I talked about earlier about identifying the full path of your solution and then identifying those strategic 3 steps. What's the first step? For me, it's list building. For you, it might be, I don't know, getting your first investment property, for example. That's the result. Or for you, it's learning your first intuitive process that will make all the difference, that they can get literal results. And that's where I was talking about. My first community is all focused on the game of life, meaning becoming the leader of your life, becoming the entrepreneur that you can be. The second community, it doesn't negate the first community, it adds on top of it. And people can be in my second community if they're not in my first community. Because those are two at the same time that they're happening and they're both valuable, right? It's not one or the other, it's one and if you can handle that next level of complexity, this is where you get to play with next, with me and in your transformational journey. Hopefully that answers. And last but not least, same thing with the third, it's unique to your process. Like for example, because I know your brand a little bit, maybe the first community is all about your next big win. Your next community could be win big every time. And then the third community could be winning big in life, period. This is the third level of entrepreneurs that they only focus on hitting the fence and they have the capacity, they have the money, and they have everything in there. So it's just all about creating momentum. So if you guys take that strategy, it's very simple, but it's easy to miss. And if you miss it, you literally can break the magic of the process. So that's number one. Number two, here's the way that I have seen this concept being monetized. I did mention way number one, which is this is, I would say, the sales approach to it. I don't resonate with it, but I also cannot discount it because that's how the most leaders are making their income from these strategies right now. But it is more on the sales side versus the service side. So I will talk about that. And then I will share like my thoughts that I'm testing now. Some of the biggest communities, what they do is they have that free community that they basically are delivering a free core course in that community as a direct result. And then Their onboarding interview call that they invite everybody onto that joins for free is they're literally one, they share some of the resources that they have in the community and point them in the right direction, but they also create an invitation of saying, hey, if you want more of the exclusivity to the thought leader that started this community, we have this, and here's all the other 1,000 benefits that you have to be part of it. So I believe they are a little bit cannibalizing because they're not using the 3-step tier. So that's how major communities are monetizing in 6 figures a month. That's what they're doing. Now, my relationship approach is this. Like you said, I'm a little bit more strategic because I don't need cash now. I'm willing to delay the ask because when you delay the ask can be bigger. I follow the concept of you serve in public first, you sell in private. And I would add one more caveat: when it's the right time. And what I mean by it's the right time, unless somebody is in the level 5, 6, 7, or 8, I don't even say one word about the next step because they haven't earned the right. Because for me, one of my biggest assets that I'm optimizing for is my time. And if the individual is not there yet mentally or professionally, they haven't learned all the lessons, I'm not here to babysit them. That's what this strategic approach and a digital system is created for. It's to basically have digital mentorship to where they earn the right to one-on-one consulting, even if it's in a group format. So for me, yes, my number one thing I'm doing right now, one of the businesses that I'm partnered with as well, and I'm a co-founder of, is called the Global Prosperity Academy. It's basically a company that teaches somebody the part-time entrepreneur concept, where we take high-level individuals or small business owners and we help them to become real entrepreneurs in education space. Before, we ran traffic directly to that company, right? Now what I'm doing, number one, I'm bringing everybody into the community. They get massive value. And on level 3, they unlock the weekly community mastermind. So now it's not just a free, it's an earned gift. It's something that I already had, but I just put it in the right place. And I believe just by doing that, we'll have a higher quality of person show up on those community calls. And then we'll upgrade to the next steps. So that's the way I'm using it. At probably tier number 5, I'm going to have, as I said, and the more people I get in the community, those gifts can shift a level. If I'm like, hey, there's too many people on level 5, I can shift that same gift to level 6 and replace it with another quality gift on level 5. I guys want you to think about that strategy as well. It's like in the beginning, you can maybe open those bigger gifts at smaller levels to drive the community to bigger levels to create that engagement through and then upgrade those levels. And here's the cool part. Once you have the engaged community, this is where you can make the choice. For me, the next logical choice when it comes to driving my business strategically forward, once they're in my community, once they're being engaged, and they're usually level 2 and above, because number one, they just came in, they didn't do nothing. If somebody just shares their names and shares a couple of comments, they become level 2, meaning they're an actual action taker, not just somebody that just came in and did nothing. I invite him to challenges or to, I call it special private experiences, where I will invest anywhere from an hour to 5 hours of my time to deepen that relationship at scale, meaning it's a group project, or usually it's called these days a challenge model or a tiny challenge model. That's also the concept that I'm playing with. And where I invite those that are not only engaged, but they're excited to maybe do a workshop like this that's next level, that allows them to see what I can genuinely do for them if we choose to partner. And then one, educate those that just show up and say thank you. And then take the 1% out of that experience and have them schedule a a Q&A call with me, for me in my business, it's gated at $500 deposit. And if it's not a good fit for both of us, I just refund the deposit. But that way I know that the people that show up on that call, they're serious. And that's when we'll have a conversation whether they're the right fit for my 25K offer, where part of that offer is me guaranteeing that they will make at least $25,000, if not $50,000 in the next 12 months, because I'm not here to partner with somebody that's one, not going to do the work, and two, is not going to be my next case study. Because to me, that's what I'm solving for. Because the more proof and case studies I create, the less selling I have to do, because all I have to do is just present an overwhelming body of proof, not just promises, and work with those that are excited to work with me, not somebody that I have to pull, twist, and babysit. That's what I'm solving. But to go back, if you're just starting your journey, you can go from a community to a private event to a qualifying interview. And those that don't feel that it's the right time for them to take that next step into scheduling that time with you, they were just served and they get to know you better. And even if they don't take the offer, here's the cool part, the advanced strategy of that concept is that they became more of a raving fan,
Awesome.
right?
I
Now they
have
get to know you. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have three rapid fire questions for you on this. First of all, these special private experiences, the challenges, are they done within school or do you do them outside on Zoom or something like that? Like, how does that integrate?
So for me, yes, I do them on Zoom. Depending on what level of business you're in, I would make them free with a VIP upgrade, or you can, if you're just starting, make them free, period. Get everybody to attend because the more social proof you create, the greater it is. Once you are at that tier, well, you know what? I have a few that will honor the VIP and then they're really ready for it, where you spend one more hour with that community and it's a quality hour that it actually makes a difference. Then you do that VIP. I have a friend of mine, his name is Myron Goldman. He's running the same model with his same community. His entry point into his challenge is $200 and the VIP is about $1,000. Same concept, same thing, and he has a different tier approach to it. I think general is you get to be part of it. You get to be on Zoom with him, not just in the Facebook streaming. Then I think his VVIP is you get to answer like your key question that before he's done, he's gonna make sure that he answered for that $1,000. So hopefully that gives you like the different tiers that you can start with and then scale to as your community grows, as the attention and the experience for your time goes higher. Because remember, one of the biggest things that I focus on in my consulting, let's solve the real problem now and worry about the problem of tomorrow. Usually the number one thing that I see with my entrepreneurs that I always work with, the number one problem is they don't have enough leads on their calendar. If that's the case, the first problem we're solving for is packing your calendar. Maybe they're not as qualified leads, but repack your calendar, because then we can authentically say in your messaging of the next tier saying, hey, I already have a full calendar and $50 deposit, then $100 deposit. So we create those gates as we go to relieve less and less pressure, but still leave that pressure in the pressure cooker in the community to create results.
Yes. What do you do with the recordings? And so let's say you have the VIP level where only those people can get on a Zoom with you and it's not just streaming. I don't know if is it possible to stream into school? Is that something that's available? I'm trying to see like how could this be connected to school using Zoom and then having a special experience for the VIPs other than the fact that they are the ones that can ask questions. If you have any thoughts on that.
So at the moment, you cannot stream into Zoom. I'm sure there might be working
to
on that.
school.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the highest priority for them. The thing I really love about school and the leadership of school, they're running the same model as I'm talking about. They're identifying their what I call super users, and they're literally asking them, what's the next feature you want or need so that we can take our resources as a company and deploy it as need to feature versus nice to feature. And here's the cool advanced version of this process as well. With building a community like this, you can be on the cutting edge of your market research as far as what the next product you need to create that literally will be sold out the second you release it because you're getting the feedback from your community first. And a lot of times, entrepreneurs can end up in their ego versus their service, meaning they go, oh, I would love to create the solution. This is what they need. And then they created, I have one of my friends, he literally put $3 million into a solution. And that feature nobody used.
I'm so glad you emphasized that. I think that it's so important to keep that in mind. Also, just to maybe wrap up that the challenge question, I guess you can take the recordings and use them as one of the level prizes and repurpose them that way. That could be an idea. Also, like the going back to the other two follow-up questions. It's like a web, it keeps opening up. So one is it has to do with the tiny challenges. Do you mean Richmond Dean's model of the private challenge, or do you mean something micro in terms of what do you mean by tiny challenge in this case?
So for me, it's a bit of a hybrid. So the
Okay.
answer is yes, it's a bit of a hybrid that kind of works. I always want to make sure that there's social dynamics with everything that I do in the Power Mastermind because you never know what that aha moment can be for somebody. Yes, obviously you can do one-on-one as well, but I like at least a micro group of 5 to 10 people. Even if it's that small, to me, it's worth my time because number one, I'm creating content, right? I'm going to answer the last question that you said. I always tell my clients, record everything, share some things, be great at one thing. So for me, whenever I'm recording, there's always going to be magical moments that I could not have planned. A perfect example of today was me sharing about the micro influencers part. I wasn't planning to share that, but that moment happened because we're in the moment in the mastermind, and this could be a perfect piece of content that could go viral on social media. I'm doing multiple things at the same time with this advanced strategy of being able to see everything and plan everything in the right place. So, yes, you can use the recordings as a bonus or maybe even a reason why they might want to attend next time because you're like, hey, you highlight the Q&A part, ask your question live next time or something like to have it be very strategic. And then obviously the VIPs get the recordings sent to them as well. That's mainly the main reason. But yeah, for me, strategically as a thought leader, it's more about the repurposed content. Because if you do, let's say, masterclass a month on the same concept, yes, you might get some gold out of it, but the core concept is going to be the same. And it's the
Yeah.
Q&A that becomes very valuable where you can build out your Q&A bigger and better for your, let's say, course that you can, or like a mini course you can create out of it. And now there's one, social proof, and two, the best Q&As that you can, and you prioritize them after the fact. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. And before I go to that third follow-up question, I wonder like how often would you host these special private experiences challenges for the free community?
I personally choose to do it once a month.
Okay.
My model is this, or this is the way I'm doing it. You don't have to, but I feel that this is works for me. A weekly relational call with a group, one-on-one, not one-on-one, but more of a private experience once a month, and then a major experience once a quarter, where I'm going to run a big event with maybe multiple speakers, multi-day event, like where it's going to be the industry core event that I'm going to run called the One Relationship Way Live. where there's going to be networking, there's going to be multi-speakers speaking about not only about my area of genius, but maybe we'll have you on, and but it's going to be a powerhouse of you got to be there. Like so the whole community goes, oh my God, if you're not going to be there, you're going to miss out. So that's the model that I'm running weekly. Because here's the thing, to me, I always look at very strategically, because if I do 4 of these, most likely I'm going to fill my 1 month. And if I do the weekly and the monthly, I'm going to fill my big event at the end of each quarter, where then we create more momentum, we create more wow experiences, we have some surprise guests and stuff like that. And this is the fun part of it.
So I'm a bit confused about the weekly part, because you mentioned before that you're doing 1 or now 2 calls a month in the free community. Now you're saying that it's a weekly call. So I'm just trying to figure out like which one is it, or what's the difference, so that we can assess what should we plan out if we decide to host our own community, like what is strategic in terms of time investment. And then the other sub question is, do you like these quarterly events? And I love this idea. This is so amazing. Do you keep them free for the community members, or do you have a symbolic fee for that? Or like, how do you handle that part?
So let me clarify really quickly the first question, and then I'll answer the second. The way I see it, I invest an hour of my time a week into the community because I'm looking for the community to grow. You could maybe get away with, if you're already established entrepreneur. The reason why I'm saying that, my mentor, he literally has content and he shows up once a month for a 2-hour call, and he charges, I think, $3,000 a month now. But he's an established entrepreneur with, I think even just that group alone is over 700 people. So he makes over $2.3 million, I think, just in that group alone, showing up once a month. If you're starting and with this community concept, because I think there is multi-level approach to this concept, you have to remember it's not a matter of putting something else on your calendar. It's replacing 3 different things in your calendar with one thing that will create greater results, right?
Yes.
Instead of, let's say, nurturing your community on the mastermind, you can bring your mastermind community into your community, and they, because they are at a higher tier, they get VVIP service in that community. But then that community also drives the free community forward. So you're multi-stacking like those Russian dolls, doll within doll within a doll within a doll. So for me, if somebody is not part of that community, they're not even a client anymore of mine. My clients have to be part of the community first, and then they can have a consultative relationship with me. First, they get to play the game of life with me. And if they're like, oh, too much, well, okay, fine. You know what? Then pay the consulting rates at $250,000 a year. Happy to do that. But if you're not willing to play my game, I can play your game, but it's going to be a different price. Hopefully that answers the question. I'm testing the second hour to see if it makes a difference, or if it starts activating those leaders for them to bring more people into the community, so the community grows exponentially. So that's where I'm choosing to invest another hour after the New Year's, when I have that extra hour, into it strategically. And for me, I think, one, the higher level of relationships will be worth it. And two, I think that there's going to be a greater content that is going to come out of it than from just the public community, if that makes sense, versus the community. So that's my approach. As far as your second question, events, the strategic way I do it, and here's what I've done with my community so far. My thoughts may change, but basically, this is the languaging I'm sharing with my community. I'm telling them, if you're part of this community, you will always be grandfathered in at the price you came in, which means if you came in at free, you will be free. Even if I end up charging at some point for it, right? Because I want to get a higher quality of a person in it or whatever, and it makes sense over the social dynamics, I might make that decision at some point. I choose to keep it open, and I'm very honest with my community about that. Hey, it is a possibility. It's not a likely possibility at the moment, but it is a possibility. So there's a little bit of value and a takeaway there. Number two, I've chosen to say the following to them as well. You can bring in strategic partners into my community at your rate as well. Meaning anybody else that they bring in, even if the community ends up being paid community, their people will come in for free. And so one of the questions that I have very strategically in my community, because I want to honor the relationships and I want to see who are the leaders in my community. One of the questions that they have to answer in order to be in my community right now, who is the thought leader that invited you? And if I don't recognize the name, they don't come in, right? They go through a different process with my executive assistant where they have to do a questionnaire. They have to submit at least a 60-second video so that number one, I'm seeing, hey, it's not a spammer. And two, it's a valuable person that will come into the community. Because for me, it's all about quality because I'm bringing some of my top relationships into this game, like people that are making anywhere from 10 to 100,000 a month. And the last thing I want them to deal with is some Yahoo that just came in for free, like bothering my high-end friends. And they'll be like, okay, why am I here? Because I want to make sure that this is one thing that I focus on and it serves multiple areas of my life strategically. The long answer to your simple question is yes, the community will always be free for those that come in at free. And as far as the events, I will usually do a value event, meaning, hey, it's minimum of $97 or whatever that thing is. There's going to be event pricing, and the community gets the relationship code, meaning they come in for free and they get a discount of the VIP because they're part of the community, which adds another value add to them being part of the community. So hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, I love it. And that's why I love interviews, because like I get all the juicy details. Thank you. Also, now we are at the third follow-up question. So for your paid communities, basically the second and the third one, do you still use the gamification and the levels to unlock all the trainings and all the things that are included, or do the rules change once this is, let's say, a high-level mastermind, or it's a different type of vibe in those groups? How do you handle that? What's your preferred way to use school? Because I imagine it's still on school, or is it like elsewhere?
Yes, it is on school, at least for me, and different game, same rules. Because I've
Okay.
taken so much time to educate them into those rules, why would I change them?
Yes,
And it also
exactly.
drives that second group forward, but in a different game. That's why I said the three-step approach is very simple, but don't let the simplicity fool you because it can be the game changer. And so, yes, the only caveat right now, but I'm also saying it with the free community, if you're just starting and you don't have the engagement, lower the bar so that people can win and then start raising the bar to elevate the whole group. Meaning that there's always going to be more one-on-one time in the paid group than the free group. Like for example, the paid group most likely will get weekly call and maybe multiple calls where I do maybe 2 to 3 times a week, but they're paying clients. This is just me almost opening office hours for them. Hey, I'm going to be working on this, and if you want to jump on and you have a question, I'm available.
My thought went to the materials, the trainings, the courses. Let's say in the Gold Club in Slovenia, I have probably between 800 and 1,000 hours of recordings of different trainings. I'm just thinking about how would that work if I were to use school as a delivery method, as the main hub for a paid mastermind, how could I actually have the main trainings unlocked and then play with the levels and the prizes in a different way with these special rewards experiences, let's say a coaching gym hour or something like that where they can call me? Or is it something that is solvable within that software? Or like how would you would an extra auxiliary, let's say Kajabi or WordPress members area or something like that, like how would that be let's say positioned?
I personally believe in simplicity versus complication.
Okay.
And I believe as a thought leader, that's what your people are really looking for. Just from what you shared, it sounds, and like, because you're part of my strategic growth partners, I'm happy to gift you some of my time to figure that out. But it sounds like your biggest opportunity right now is to go through the 1, 2, 3 step model. And as a thought leader, identify what's critical and what's nice too. I don't think, and don't feel bad. That's what most entrepreneurs do and thought leaders. They have this ball of everything that they've done, and everything is amazing and everything is valuable. And the greatest opportunity for your high-end clients to know
Mm-hmm.
what step is vital to take first, right? Like, for example, God forbid you ever end up at a hospital, the number one thing that they will look for, do you have a clear airway first? Because if you don't have air, you'll die in minutes. The next thing they will check for is if you are bleeding out, because if you are bleeding out, you'll die in hours. And then I'm sure I think it's hydration next, because if you don't have enough water, you'll die in whatever. But you understand the concept. So I want you to take a look at everything that you've done, or start thinking about it and see what is that oxygen, what is that blood, and what is that water in your process.
Yes, I'll restate my question because maybe I wasn't clear, probably. So I'm thinking, let's say I'm a client in one of my mentors' mastermind. And the idea of that program is that like we get access as clients, we get access to all of her courses and everything she launches throughout the year, as long as we are members. A major reason why I joined and why a lot of other people join is this fact that everything is unlocked immediately when you join. Because maybe you need to binge watch a particular training, but then that connects to another thing, and you're not there to play a game at that point because you're a high-level client. You want to have access to everything you need right now. And so I'm thinking of a client experience. I wouldn't be particularly happy if I had to jump through hoops to get to the course that interests me, just because it's like it's hidden behind door number, right, level number 8 within the group. So that's why I'm asking. There are certain pieces that need to be available, in my opinion, if you want to serve your clients well, because it's not about making them get lost in the sea of trainings, because that's why there's mentorship at the end of the day. But having everything available, easily, readily available when they need it, without them having to first study which level is that at, how do they get there? Maybe they need it today, right? That's why they joined. And now you're telling them, no, you actually need to put in so much action and so much work that realistically you're going to get there in 2 weeks' time. That's why, is it clearer now what I'm asking?
Yes, and here's the advanced version of it. One of the things that I've seen as a consultant for the last 15 years, number one, there's always a proven path. And what I mean by that is, most of the time when it comes to my clients, even when they're on high level,
Mm-hmm.
part of the reason why they haven't scaled, they missed the pieces in foundation. I'll give you a perfect example. I had a friend and a client of mine. She's like, I've done all and this and this. And I'm like, my dear, I love you, and everything that you mentioned is part of, let's say, marketing, but you don't have any foundational pieces of case studies. So for me, even though she was mad and she didn't like the answer, I'm like, the answer was, hey, you have to take step one, step two, step three. So for the 80 to 70%, you still need to have a proven path for that high-end client. The tier of game of business, they have to have done a video book, period, because that's the foundation of the engine of the airplane. You can have all the airplane, but if you don't have the engines, it's not going to fly. You can have the best wheels, you can have the best painting of the airplane, but it's not going to fly anyway. So it's like it's those critical elements that are installed to make sure that's still part of that game of ascension in the high end. And one of the things I do for my high-end clients as a bonus, at least for right now, it may change, but it may shift from me to my consultant or to my assistant, just depending on my time availability, is that they get everything. They get the value ladder access to the strategic digital, right, approach to make sure that all the boxes are ticked. And they do get a one-on-one hour with me where they basically share with me where they're at, what's their biggest opportunity of growth. And if I see as a consultant that yes, they do need this piece strategically, I will just go ahead and unlock it for them earlier rather than later.
Awesome. I love that.
So it's there,
Yes.
but at least I know that they're not just chasing rabbits. They're actually focusing on one specific thing, because this is what I've seen on high level consulting. It's that guided path of that almost hand experience that makes all the difference. Because it's usually not
Exactly.
everything that they need to do. It's that, okay, no, what is that one thing that you've been avoiding or not building or whatever that you need to master to exponentially grow your business? Right. So
Hmm.
hopefully that answers your question in a more strategic way.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do it by
Eh,
yourself, or you can have an assistant do it.
Yeah, and this is exactly the premise of this club, that like you get personalized mentorship. And so I point out exactly which trainings are relevant at that time. So nobody's really wasting their time studying something that is just too early or it's just not appropriate or whatever. I love this addition. And also I wanted to mention, since I don't know, half an hour ago, like I wanted to mention how brilliant it is, these three different tiers in terms of the content focus. And it sounds to me, I wanted to reflect back so that maybe others hear it from a different point of view as well, because I believe this is like probably the single most important message from this entire training so far, at least for me, is that the game of life tier that you have, this free community, what I'm hearing is you're really talking about identity shifts. You're talking about leadership. You're talking about the inner game of success, which I'm really big on the holistic approach and taking both sides, the inner and the outer game, to the table or to the field. I love the fact that like this first level is focused on basically developing the inner dynamics in someone that makes you see if they are if they are cut from the right cloth to become your strategic partner or your client or somebody more visible in the community and so on. It's a really nice preparation chamber, so to speak. And because it's all about identity shifts. Like I remember Kaylin Poole and how she created a Lady Boss movement and brand based on identity. Like it's all a movement. That is what works. That's why it's so important to keep that in mind, everyone, when you are deciding on the focus of that first free community, because it's not all the same. Like the fact that it's like an inner game, that it's leadership, that it's mindset, that it's identity, that is everything. I think we need to emphasize that, because nothing can be as effective as if you speak to somebody's inner world and they get a shift from the inside out, and then they're transformed, and then they can take the next step. I talk about something that's called transformational marketing, which is exactly this. Like, they need to feel something, they need to get to a shift before they ever buy from you. And this is exactly it. This is the movement. I love this so much. It's so smart. And it prevents people getting confused between the different levels, which is also so important, because we know that a confused mind always says no. Please, everyone, let us know if you have questions. I do have a question about getting started, because I'm sure that everybody is thinking this right now, because none of us, to my knowledge, has a school community right now. So can you please illuminate us as to, if you were starting all over again, and of course, without having to go back into what we covered today, because it was a lot, but like, how would you actually just take those first steps to to set up your group, to fill it, to start breathing life into it? Like, I think that would be so interesting to all of us here.
Perfect. And before I do answer that question, I did want to give or share a bonus. One of the biggest bodies of work that I go back to all the time is called Building Your Brand Story, which really will give you some homework. And it pretty much is a course in a book of like, how do you create that identity shift? What is the messaging that you need to create by one of the top leaders when it comes to this concept? And yeah, if you guys can't find it, please reach out to me or Dr. Martina. I'll make sure to leave that book in the resources so that you guys can utilize it in your advantage as well. As far as starting a community from scratch, the first and foremost, I would say, and this is one of the gifts to your community from me, is that they get to be part of my community for free, right? As long as they put in your name and I know that they're coming from you, they can come in and see what works and model so that they don't have to recreate it from scratch. Because I said, it's all about getting done, not good. And if somebody's serious and ready to take that step, so here's how I will usually tell my thought leaders to do it strategically. I tell them this: partner with me and allow me to support you through the process. And what I mean by that, I tell them, hey, come into my community, invite your board of directors, have amazing success, build them up in the community, add value to them, add additional maybe an hour a week training as a bonus for them being in my community and you're technically beginning of the community, until we get to what I call that critical mass of anywhere from 10 to 30 raving fans slash strategic partners that you're like, okay, I got my like core group. And then we basically, I send you the link, you sign up for school, and we duplicate the same concept and process with best practices, with the identity shift, with all the gifts, with all the gamification into your community. And now you invite your leaders that are being growing in my community, and you replant them into your plant. And now you just start promoting that community forward on your social media from that point on as the core. And then you invite some of your top leaders back into my community and vice versa, because at that point it's a strategic partnership. Meaning, if you're inviting people into my community, it's very likely that if I see a good fit and you become a thought leader, you have a special private training in my community, that some of my people will go into my community. And you have to understand, I'm building a community of thought leaders, period. This is the advanced version of this concept, is that leaders come together to play a bigger game of impact.
And
So
this is how. Mhm.
go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to say this is how it comes full circle. This is like that cherry on top of how literally, like, there are so many different layers of the game here that you presented, that you introduced us to, that like when you see this whole picture, that's why we are both strategists and that's why we love strategy, because like when you see the whole picture, like nothing becomes too heavy or too overwhelming or too burdensome, or just because you see why, you see like the big vision, how it comes together. And that is a very powerful, potent fuel. I wanted to add that. I think it's so brilliant as a concept. And it's great that the software itself allows for something like this.
And here's the cool part, and these are kind of really advanced versions, that one of the best ways to strategically build a community is to invite your board of directors into it and have assets that are different to yours, but complementing your ideal client. For example, when we start Dr. Martina's community, she'll have access to my proprietary video book course in her community. Yes, it shares me with her community, but also gives her a massive bonus that she can unlock in her community, and she did not need to create it. That's the key. And the back end strategy of it, if somebody comes from Miss Martina's community and says, you know what, Alexi, I love that concept. I actually want to do something with you, not just I love all the things and I want you to, there's going to be a price point and I will be sending her a thank you check because I would have not known that person without her. And hopefully vice versa, where I'm like, hey, Martina, I just met so and I think they're amazing for your big concept project. Let me just introduce you. And the easiest way for me to introduce you is just send them the special private training she's going to do in my group and just, and when they go, oh my God, she's amazing. I can only imagine, connecting with her. I'm like, hey, let me make an introduction. This is the advanced strategy of this community, not only bringing up your community and your business, but also starting to exponentially play on the next level of the game of impact. It really, like this strategy, if you implement it correctly, it goes beyond the game of life, the game of business. It lands you in the game of impact right away. And imagine having some of the best thought leaders having your back, having the best strategies. Like part of the reason why I chose to invest into the school platform as well, it's like one of those additional bonuses. One of my mentors became a co-founder of the company, and literally just for the fee of the school group that I get all their highest level trainings from their top leaders asking the biggest questions that I maybe haven't even reached yet and have access to all of that. So this is basically offer on top of the offer for me to you, if that makes sense for you logically in heart sense. It's not only are you going to have access to that, and you're going to have greater access to Martina and myself as strategic partners versus just possibly strategic clients. I don't know. Those are just thoughts that came to mind.
Wonderful. So exciting. Thank you. And we're getting some love from the chat. Daniela says that she appreciates us so much. I need to go to an eye doctor because I can't see. I can't see, and it's getting dark. But yeah, it's such a step-by-step training. It's so concrete that it's clear, and the ideas then, of course, percolate. And it's Daniela says that she loves the fact that actually nobody can enter if they don't go through that first level, and they get basically warmed up and all of that. So thank you. That's so cool. I'm excited about all the possibilities that started opening up with this training, because like we never really talked about as a community about school, because obviously it's new to me, so I'm not an expert on it. And it's really valuable, Alexi, that you took the time to explain how to use it and what's the huge world of possibilities when you approach it the right way. and through a Heart of Gold, and also a very strategic approach, because it's not just giving for the sake of giving and full stop. It's like you still need to take care of business as well, which I think it's absolutely normal, and it's actually a really great thing because it means that you're a stronger leader. So I love that. Let's see. Matea says, thank you for your amazing content. I can't turn on my voice because I'm ill. Oh, I'm so sorry. Get well soon, but I'm here listening. Awesome. I'm so glad that you like it. Does anybody have any questions? And also, Alexi, while they are typing or maybe unmuting, would you like to add anything else? Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to emphasize or highlight?
Of course, we still have one more part that's vital in the strategy, which
So
is
exciting.
collaboration. And we talked a little bit about it, but I want to also create a step-by-step process as well, because I believe that's how my brain works. And I believe that what serves people the most, not just that game theory, but like, no, what are the actual steps that you get to do as part of this community? And so, last but not least, we've talked about content, we've talked about creating a community or a powerful connected community. And last but not least, I want to make sure to put a bow on this training with really talking about collaborating powerfully or strategically with your community. So, the number one opportunity for any relationship, like I mentioned earlier, is earning somebody's attention, right? That's the number one step. Once you earn their attention and you honor that gift and you serve them, you get to earn their time. With honoring their time, you earn their trust. And their trust, you will basically have them as a paid client. They're willing to say, you know what, you've added so much value to me, complimentary. I can only imagine what will happen if I actually invest whatever that investment level with and take your guarantees and take the process to the next level. And this is where I really want to start. So, when it comes to really earning somebody's time and their trust, we go back to creating strategic, powerful content. That's how we get their attention. How we keep their attention is really with this connected community concept where we're getting to engage them in a deeper relationship with us. One, they get to know us, they get to know the community, and they get to know, like, and trust us even more. And our first goal, as far as strategic partnership, is to create that engaging superfan, an individual that will consume all our content that we create, but more importantly, take the action and document the process and share it with us. Because to us, that becomes a testimonial and a case study. See, most entrepreneurs miss the simple step and it breaks the whole process because then they have to promise versus offer proof. And proof will beat out promises 99% of the time. Don't tell me what you can do for me, show me what you have done for others. Because now I feel like I'm not the first rabbit down the rabbit hole that may get slaughtered. So, first, we want to get them engaged and documenting the process. And one of the ways that I do it with my strategic partners, I tell them, listen, your biggest takeaway is the transformation of your life. My biggest takeaway is being able to document the process so that I can serve more people like you. And we create a social contract that's saying, hey, when you implement it and when you get results, please share back with the community. So that's the number one level of strategic partnership. Number two, once they have proof and results in their life, they get to open up the next level of strategic partnership. And to me, that's affiliation, meaning that they're willing to put their name, their reputation, and their relational capital on the line for me because one, they know me, they like me, they trust me, but more importantly, they have results that they can share genuinely about with their community. And now, as a director of affiliation, maybe they have a special link. Maybe they just need to mention that they heard about you from so and so. You reward that relationship because what's rewarded is repeated. That's how you create a repeatable process through affiliation and relational capital. This is how you turn referrals into cash on steroids. And last but not least, once they are an affiliate partner of yours and they are creating amazing results and they're showing they are a true leader, they didn't just send you one or two people, they're sending you people multiple times a month. You have the conversation of what I call equity partnership, saying, listen, you've been doing amazing things in my community. And one of the ways that I would love to move our relationship forward, let's do something together. Let's create an event together. Let's share each other's stages. Maybe you'll be on my podcast, I'll be on your podcast. Maybe you'll be on my challenge, I'll be on your challenge. Maybe I'll have your special private training in my community, and you'll have my special private training in your community. And then you have the conversation about what do those affiliation or equity splits when it comes to revenue will be. Some of the basics that I've used in the past, if they're just passing me the relationship and they want nothing to do with it, they're like, hey, they're my clients, I do with them what I do, and if you guys end up working together, great. If there's no additional support on their end, I usually will share with them 10% right off the top. And for me, it's really with affiliates as well. I share 10%. With strategic partners, I will open up to 25%, where now they get to have more of the piece of the pie. The more people that they invite to me, I believe I want to reward that even more. So they will qualify for the 25% of the top. And usually this is from your entry products. Sometimes I will do it from the back end, but it depends on the relationship. For me personally, if I really like them, I'll just do something special. If somebody goes into my $25,000 mastermind, they're definitely getting 10%, maybe somewhere between 10 and 20 without doing much because they're my strategic growth partner. And with a few key partners where I'm strategically partnering with them, where it's ongoing. Maybe deliver over the product together. Maybe we're doing a mastermind together. Maybe we're doing events together. For example, one of the concepts we were talking with Dr. Martinez, my strategic growth partner, we're planning an event in LA next year in one of the LA mansions with some of the top US entrepreneurs from my side. I'm going to probably bring in my board of directors and they're going to bring their 5 people, invitation only. Yes, there'll probably be a cost, but it's the relationship comes first, meaning that they have to qualify for that golden ticket for them to be in the room because first and foremost, we want the right room together, not just somebody that can buy their way into it. Because for us, it's all about impact, not just income. And so stuff like that, at that point, I'll open up the possibility of 50-50 partnership. It's, hey, if we do this together and we spend this much, we'll take out the cost and then we'll split the profits. So to me, those are the 3 levels of strategic collaboration and partnership that can be very simple, but can also scale with your community as you grow it. Number one, you want to focus on engagement and results. Number two, you focus on affiliation, and strategic partners. And number three, you really create that equity partnership with individuals that have already have a proven track record with you, and you move forward with them into a deeper level of relationship, friendship, and business. Choosing to play the game of impact on the next level. Hopefully, this small piece of additional content is worth it to you guys, because I think when you do this right, it can make all the difference.
Oh, so good. Yes, you explained it beautifully because it's so important to understand that there are levels to this as well. You don't jump into the deep end immediately before you even know the person, and especially before they know you and before they have gotten some results and some real value from you. So I see a lot of the times entrepreneurs want to collaborate, but they don't, like, that thought doesn't even cross their mind to offer their expertise or their help or something to this partner so that they can get to know them and they can feel great about referring them to their audience and so on. So, like, giving comes first. I go first is that concept where if you want them to get to know you, you are proactive about that and you make sure to be valuable. And if you understand who this person is and what they care about, and it needs to involve listening at some point and some homework, then you're on your way to establishing a really good foundation. So I hope, Daniela, that answered your initial question where you were asking about how do you create a win-win and make sure that they appreciate you as much as you appreciate them. Like, it always starts with generosity at the end of the day, strategic generosity, as I like to call it. Awesome. I love this so much, like the whole training. And I feel that like we have really put a nice bow to it onto it. Like, it's such a great concept. It's a great training. I feel that like you are really onto something with this topic because it's fresh, it's innovative, it's different. It's something that a lot of people don't even think about yet outside of the communities already on school, but there's a whole piece of the experts industry and then everybody else as well that it's not even aware, let's say, of this opportunity. So I'm very excited to see where you take this because it has a lot of legs, it has a lot of potential for sure.
I do want to add a couple of small things. Number one, I've personally got to a place of my life and business where I believe that I'm not looking for strategic relationships or collaborations with individuals that have not been through my proven process, because that's the magic sauce. And what I mean by that is there's a difference between knowing somebody and being like, hey, Alexi has a nice offer, delivering that possible invitation with that level of energy versus going through the process, having the results and go, okay, oh my God, like you need to be part of Alexi's group. You need to be part of whatever. This is what I did. This is the results I got. Oh my God, you got to do it. Right? That's the magic sauce behind the strategic approach to it. It's having that level of energy that you cannot communicate through words. It's communicate through your body language, through your energy. People like people that are part of my community now, they're like, oh my God, you just need to be in there. Like this is this. And they mentioned like the results that they're getting. But the point I'm trying to make also is this: just because somebody under or knows about the strategy, whether it's school, whether it's other platforms, there's very few people that can see the divine design or the system design of not just what works, but what is those critical pieces that make all the difference. Because there's many things that you can do with groups and this and that, but if you miss the concepts of identity shift, the concept of the rewarding them through the identity shift and then gamifying it, you're missing that cream of the thing. You'll have a group and it'll guess probably work, because that's the momentum. But for you to get the most out of it, like most people don't understand on school, they're making money with opportunity because they can follow the directions. But there's very few people that are on school that can break down the concept from the strategic element and why and the psychology and everything that I feel is part of my gift because of my experience, my wisdom, and some of my gifts of being able to see patterns and being able to create systems. Because this is the system that I will, probably in the next 6 months, create into a book that will have all the elements, bells and whistles, and this probably will be my lead magnet, most likely for my second tier community. And my first tier is going to be all about creating a video book, right? Focused on you and your value you can bring to the world. Number two, because right now my second community is focused mainly on creating a product, right? Strategically. How do you create a product? And I believe now that your greatest product that you can create right now that's making all the difference is the communities. Like, yes, your courses are going to be amazing. You're going to make money with them, but the community is what are going to allow you to, one, identify your most amazing strategic partners and keep them around for a long time versus just having a course that they go through once and maybe they're done with it in a year and they're out of it. But with this community approach, excuse me, you can bring in people to do life with together. And I can see partners and clients being in those communities for years, if not decades. As you scale the base, and now you have your core income coming not from your consulting, but you have the foundation to live the life of your dreams and to fulfill your dreams and to be the thought leader that you were meant to be and you were created to be. Because so often, one of the things that I see that truly makes my heart bleed, having amazing thought leaders being limited by their financial situation. And they make the choices out of the financial needs versus strategic choices that will not only make their life better, but their community better. And by that being, the whole world will be better because we choose to be the servant strategic leaders in our space. And we don't need to worry about our bills being paid and just choosing to serve at the highest levels. That's why I do what I do. This is why I choose to create this type of training at 7 in the morning on a Saturday, where it's technically my rest day. But when you have your strategic growth partners say, hey, we're moving, I say, okay, where are we moving to? And so this was the inspiration for this training. I hope it was really worth your time. I know it's been making a huge difference in my life and the lives of my strategic growth partners. And now I look forward it making a huge difference in your life and you sharing your stories and results, how you're implementing this. And maybe even questions that arise as a result of you being on the journey, being like, hey, I've done this and this, I'm getting great results with this, and here's where I'm creating a new opportunity of growth for myself. I'm not sure how to move forward. And those are the fun conversations that I love being a part of.
Yes, thank you. Wow, this has been so fantastic. Daniela says that she has tears of gratitude. Thank you. And thank you, Daniela, for sharing. And yes, I mean, rightfully so, right? Because like this has been so granular and at the same time contextualized and strategic. Like we got the best of both worlds, seeing the big picture and the bird's eye view, and also like then getting the details, the concrete steps on what to implement. That I can say that it's been invaluable having you here as our guest, our very special guest. I'm very, very happy that you accepted my invitation. And I'm sure that this will become, yes, an amazing piece of content and that then opens numerous doors for you in many different ways, which it should, because people need to know about this. This is the next level of where entrepreneurship is going. And it might be that it continues on school. It might be that there's going to be a new platform coming up, but the concepts are there. The strategy is solid and it makes sense because it has all the components. It has the generosity, it has the community, it has the gamification, it has growth, it has identity, it has like basically growth through time so that you always have the next level where you're headed. Like so many things. When you start understanding all these concepts, then you know the value of each component and you don't skip steps and you don't create a Swiss cheese with all the holes. And oh, the fireworks just started. This is perfect. So yeah, because this is exactly what we're talking about here, creating fireworks in our business and in our life with something that is fresh enough that can like really make an impact right now, and it has a future. Plus, Daniela told us that it's very supported in terms of energies. It's the best. So I'm very thankful that you were open to explain this to us in such detail. The magic is in detail, in the details, for sure. Thank you.
I think you said it's very often you come across an entrepreneur or thought leader that is able to connect with either the air game, as I call it, or the ground game. There's very few that understand both. And that's the beautiful gift that I've been gifted with. And to share with Daniela, it's a real true pleasure and a blessing to be in the flow. I get it. And I can feel it, right? And I'm just honored that Source God chose me for this path to be able to speak this message and to, as I call it, be by a river of water that I don't try to hold on to it, but I'll never have lack of water because there's always a stream of entrepreneurs, amazing people in my life. The truth is, I don't have to collaborate with people in building their communities. I can just sell it as a course, but I also believe that's the right thing to do, not only strategically, but in the heart sense, that we can create more together than we can apart. And I'm always about the language of collaboration and coming together versus division and being set apart, because I believe that's what the forces outside want us to do. Right? They want to divide us into labels. They want to divide us into movements. But what about a movement that can bring everybody together, that we can genuinely share and give from abundance? And this is
Yes.
the type of work that I love to do.
Absolutely. And we covered so much ground today that I am sure that if we just take action and implement, it's a huge game changer, not only for our businesses, but for who we are as leaders, which is even more important. And Moitza says, thank you for a very interesting topic and your time. And Alexi, you'll meet Moitza in person on the Marketers Cruise. That's exciting. And everybody else, I hope you join us next time on the Marketers Cruise, and also, of course, in Alexi's community and in other spaces. It's time to start playing a much bigger game, becoming a lot more selective with where we invest our time. If you followed the training that we just witnessed, it sounds like a really great investment of our most precious asset. So thank you again, Alexi, for this huge gift. And to everyone, I hope you implement, and you implement fast, without doubts, without looking back, and with focusing on your vision of where do you want to take your partnerships, your communities, your colleagues, your clients. Like, you're the leaders, and it's time to claim that fully. Thank you.
You know, Martina, I completely forgot because I got so excited about sharing this concept to the full depth of it. And that is, your video book becomes your ultimate lead magnet into your community, because you open up their mind with your thoughts through the video book, and you invite them into the community as the ultimate gift as a result of them going through the book. So now technically it becomes, I don't make them go through the book yet, but that is one of the other ways you can fuel your community through strategic social content that the video book creates, that basically gives them that gift of like, hey, you got this book, and they can get the scripts from that other training. Hey, you're invited into the community too. And now they're not only getting to consume your body of knowledge, but they're also getting to know you at the same time. When they're ready, they'll say yes. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen multiple entrepreneurs make is that they will collect the decision before the time. And people say yes because of scarcity, but that if even if you have the right client and partner in front of you, but it's the wrong timing for them, it will break the relationship. Maybe they'll be in your community for, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, but if it's not the right timing for them, they will leave and they'll probably never come back. With this strategy, you're able to nurture them strategically, and then when they are ready to take that evolution or upgrade forward, they'll never have to go backwards. And that's really what my training is always grounded in. How do we take one step forward and never step back? I rather over deliver on step one so that step two becomes easier or necessary, versus skipping a step and then having to go back to do 3 steps to trying to get back. Because sometimes the thing about relational capital that I have found, it takes time to build trust. It takes moments to break it. And once you've broken it, it's almost impossible to repair it. So why don't we build trust in a strategic way and continue honoring that trust and that relationship first, and growing our relationships, our partnerships, and our impact, one person, one community, one world at a time. That's
Yes,
my
yes.
message, and I'm sticking to it.
Wonderful. So you tell me if you want me to share directly with the club your video book training, the interview that I have, because I interviewed you for the Rapid Lead Generation Summit, or you would like me to send a different version of it, or maybe you have a link that we can share with everyone so they can sign up. Like, you tell me what's your preferred way.
So I think the easiest and the most strategic way we can do it, I will send you a link to a copy of that training that's been edited by my team. So it's nice and clean and doesn't have all the mistakes of live recording. And that link right now is in my community. And basically, they'll be able to watch the training for free, but I would highly encourage them to actually hit the comment part and share their biggest takeaways, share their biggest aha moments and results, and maybe some clarifying question. If they're like, hey, I love this concept, this and that, but how do I apply it to my specific even niche? I will choose to answer that in the questions as well. Hey, I love it, and how do I strategically apply it to what I'm doing? Because one of the things that I've done in my 15 years of consulting is I've worked with many different businesses. So usually I have some of the best practices, whether it's intuitive training, whether it's wealth accumulation. There's patterns of success that some of the best are using, and I'm happy to pass on those forward when I'm asked about them in the community, because one, I can create content, but two, for you, if I remember correctly, in order for you to comment, you will have to put in your name, your email, and your phone number, and who referred you, which would be Miss Dr. Martina. And that way I know where you guys are amazing people are coming from. And this is starts another amazing journey. So I think that will probably be best. And we can put this special private training into your community. And I'll also edit it and put it into mine as well, because I think one of the things in the next 6 months, an additional bonus for everybody that's here or that's watching this recording is even when I make this content paid, meaning I will create a course out of it, that's probably going to be at least $2,500. I believe that's probably the value of this training. You guys will get the complimentary version of it. Basically, as long as you're in the community and you go through the steps and you get to the Dream Hacker, I will make an exception and potentially invite you into my next group of Game of Business, and that's where that training will be hosted at, as just my way of paying it forward. I wasn't planning this, but that what feels on my heart to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Are we posting a link to your community right now so that everybody
Uh,
can join, or will I be in touch with everyone later when I'll have the link? You'll share it with me.
I have the link. Let me see if I can share it right now in here, just for everybody that's
Sure.
below it. But you'll also, I will message you that link as well, so that for anybody that couldn't
Perfect.
in
Yes.
person,
Yes.
they'll be able to have access to it too. Let's see. Oh, because and this is a bit of a small shameless plug. Part of the reason why you might want to be part of the community of the Dream Hacker, it really focuses on three core things. Number one, social accountability, meaning we share our intentions for the day every day, and we get social accountability through the group. And there's some amazing individuals that are already there that are willing to support you. Number two, we focus on shared resources, meaning if you come across an amazing piece of content or a great training, we share it in the community. So now you get to have access to some of the best content that the community is coming together with. And you can see the comments and whatever. And even when I see somebody else posting a training like that, I will go through it myself because I'm like, if this person thought to share it and they are a leader of mine, I'm like, I need to pay attention. And then I will share my thoughts. And so it creates an amazing learning curve as well in a beautiful way. And last but not least, you're getting to create relationships with true potential strategic partners that will know and trust you whenever you're ready to take that next big leap forward.
Yeah, yeah, so good. So yeah, while you're looking for the link, to posted, that's also my question, how to apply this for my business. Good thing that you're coming to the Marketers Cruise and that we're in the club because I can help you with that too. Now, and maybe Alexi has a few thoughts right now. Moita is an expert in WordPress. And so she's mentoring others to become certified in her method and they can do done for you services for others. And she is also teaching WordPress to business owners, to entrepreneurs, so they can build their own sites and membership portals and e-commerce, like basically shops, everything with WordPress. So to give you a context, and I'm excited, Moita, that you're looking forward to it. Yes, I am too. I feel that like you're such a strong leader that I can already picture your community being incredibly vibrant and growing like a wildfire. This is perfect for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I hope you guys don't hear it from an ego sense, but from the heart sense. Like, the two trainings that are today and the video book, if you just do those, I truly believe for you specifically, just from what I've heard, you can bring your business to multiple six figures, if not seven figures, within the next 12 months, just deploying these strategies. I truly believe that. And yes, I would love to meet on the marketers cruise and maybe even have like dinner or sit down and maybe talk about a little bit of more application of these concepts into your specific business. There's many thoughts and ideas. Like I know one of the top leaders in your space in LA, he literally has more business than he can handle. Like he does not even take on clients anymore because of a couple of strategies that he did, and we can literally copy and paste them into your business and evolve it. I'll just say it this way. Oh my God, this is funny. Who did I send this to? Okay, I can just go into the DreamHacker community and get it. Like, why do I have to go far? See, that's why I'm saying, like, community
Yeah.
becomes the hub where you choose to serve and show up in. And this is how you strategically bring people into your life without adding another thing to do because you're already doing it. It's, hey, whenever I meet somebody, I'm like, hey, let me give you a gift. I invite them into this community personally, right? I send them the link, or I send the training in the link in the community, and they join naturally. And then the digital process starts happening step by step, and it's like a magnet that pulls them in. And if they don't,
Yes.
I haven't lost anything because this is a digital delivery. All right. And so that's the thing about it. Ooh, here you go. Perfect. Copy link. And now I'm going to copy it here. Yeah.
Aren't you glad, everyone, that you attended today? Thank you. Awesome. So you have the link in the chat. I'm going to copy it so that I share it. Thank you. I share it in the follow-up email later with everyone. So good.
Oh, wait,
Thank
this is
you.
just a thought that's coming to me, and the magic of being live on one of these things versus watching a recorded version of it, right? Which is still majorly valuable. Monica, my invitation to you as far as the 3 steps, I would divide it in getting your first website done, right? Then making it work for your business would be the second community. And the third community would be for those that are agency owners. This is your licensees that are part of that community. That's the way I would do it strategically. And that's like getting and see, that's where it's fun to play the game. Like I have one of the best blueprints when it comes to creating each site that, that I've spent $500,000 on, where it's okay, what do we put as part of that first training, right? Number one, your website has to be all about your ideal client. And the first thing that they see, what is that ultimate gift that they get to start that relationship? And for you, it would be like maybe a 30 minutes masterclass on the keys to unlocking your revenue from your website, for example. I would love to see that training. I'd be like, or the 3 keys that you're missing that's literally leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because you don't have these 3 things on your website, right? And you talk them through a simple strategy of creating your amazing lead magnet or whatever and putting it, and then maybe talking a bit about creating a community for their thing as well or whatever, right? And so now that sucks them in. And then the second thing is, talking to them about creating 3 video social proofs right underneath it, because from what I know, that even converts better than some of the best copy in the world. Then we talk about services and then all the free giftings that they can get as a result. Anyway, you can see how this can scale amazingly when you have the right people at the table or in your sandbox, and you get to play the game of life, business, and impact on a different level. Sorry, that just came to mind because the second a client of mine gives me an idea, I may not have the right answer right away, but it's building in there, and then it's connecting the dots, and I'm like, here. But anyway, excuse me.
Yes, yes, fabulous. So good, so good. We could keep going and going, but I think that you shared a ton of incredible advice, information, steps, strategies, like all sorts of things. I advise everybody to re-watch several times because you're gonna hear layers that you missed the first time, first, second, third time through. And then go and implement something right away. Don't wait. Don't let this be just a piece of information, another training, because this could be the training that changes everything, because you're going to be positioned so differently than most of your, in quotes, competition. Like the competition disappears when you actually innovate and you are at the forefront with fresh strategies and with something that actually makes sense and supports people and gives so much value. Just imagine the karma points. So thank you again. And this is just the beginning. It's not the end. even though it's the end of this training, but it's the beginning of a whole new chapter or a whole new book in all of our lives. So it's the winter solstice right now when we're recording this. So there's a lot of light ahead of us, a lot of fire, a lot of opportunities. And I couldn't be more excited for us as a community and for all the strategic partnerships and collaborations and everything that will be coming our way, because we're going to be co-creating it in the next weeks, months, and years. So thank you, everyone. Huge hug to everyone. Alexi, what an honor. There are no words how grateful I am. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you on the cruise. Moita, you too. We'll have so much fun. Everybody else, please join us next time. And this is why you need to listen when I tell you about something and like I share an invitation and an opportunity. You jump in, you say yes, and then you figure it out. Because then you'll see why it was so important to be open and to basically have the courage to make it work. We'll be in touch. I'm going to send the recording. We'll share the video training and these links. I'm copying both of them.
By the way, the second one, see, that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, number one, yes, like Miss Martina said, go through this training one more time and take notes. Now that you're like not in the process, take all the notes and then identify like what are the first steps you're going to take. Number two, jump into my community and look, okay, Alexi talked about the identity shift. What does it look like on his? Copy mine and then change it to yours, right? Or at least use that as, okay, if I'm creating this type of community, like what my versions of, let's say, identity should look like, what my version of the gifts would look like, what my version of gamification will look like, right? And number two, the link that I shared as well is a resource that I come across recently. It's called How to Become the Number One in Your Industry. This is some of the stuff that I've been using for decades, but it's what is explained by an entrepreneur that I very much respect. And the basics of it is how do you create a new title in the industry and become number one? Because everybody else will be trying to get to that. And you literally can be number one with the two strategies, the video books and the connected communities. They will never catch you. I'm telling you that. If you choose to continue, I guess that will be the thing.
Yeah, they will never catch you. And on that note, thank you. Have an amazing rest of your day. And we'll be all in touch. Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for attending.